consultant clinical psychologist at the School of Public Health, University of Ghana, Legon. Giving honor to Mona is due. Dr. Emmanuel Asampo, aka Bishop. Clap your hands for Doc. Welcome him.
Thank you very much for the introduction. All right, so let's have quick objectives why we want to do this, so that by the time we are done, we'll see if indeed we've learned something. Okay. So first of all, I would want us to understand what emotional intelligence is. And then we will try and take a look at some dimensions of intelligence. And we would see the relationship between emotional intelligence and your emotional health. Okay? And the most important thing, the way forward. Now, let me also say that this is going to provoke your thinking. And I'm hoping that you will try and just think through. And hopefully in about 3 days' time, you will be able to situate what we'll be talking about to your frame of thinking. And subsequently, we should see some changes in the way you do things everywhere you find yourself. Please, I hope you understand. Great. Now, all of us here are Christians. I am a Christian myself. But how are you able to tell if somebody is a Christian? So, if you step out there now, everybody, in fact, from the lowest person, if there is anybody like that, to the topmost person, we all profess to be religious or spiritual. Now, there is a difference between religiosity and spirituality. But in recent times, it's very difficult to really tell when one is being religious and when one is being spiritual. And that's how come, for me, I'll be using it interchangeably. As a country, are we not spiritual? Are we not religious? Maybe you are not too convinced whether we are religious or spiritual. But I'm going to show a few images just to point to the fact that even as a country, we profess to be religious or spiritual. Let's have it rolling. So you go to town and you see, repent, Jesus is coming soon. What does that tell you? A country that is religious, a country that is spiritual. Is that not the case? You and I, who behave as what? Religious people or spiritual people. Let's move on. So we have pastors who pray for Akosombo. I'm sure you are all conversant with this. Let's move on. We have Anointed Hands Beauty Salon. What does that tell you? That the saloon itself, there is some spiritual connotation associated with the saloon. Is that not the case? Let's move on. God with me. That is a taxi with an inscription at the back. God with me. Let's move on. God first, Kelewele and Friday Arm. And God is great fresh tilapia. And you can be sure that the tilapia will always land in some kitchen. And what is that kitchen? An anointed kitchen. So, the top level, remember I said from the lowest level to the top level, we all profess to be religious. And that is why Christ is president. So when I'm done, you just move on, please. God is president of Ghana. Still at the top. Fulfilling God's will, working for a better Ghana. Do you see the God factor there? the religious factor, the spiritual factor. Do you see that? So what do we have then? The battle is the Lord. So wherever you go, whether left, right, spirituality, as a people, you and I, that is what we do. But is that what the case really is? So let me share with you a case per the nature of the work I do that I had to attend to. So this is a lady whose husband usually will come home at 6 o'clock and then they eat together. On a particular day, 6 o'clock, the man had not shown up. 6:30, no show. 7 o'clock, no show. 7:30, a friend of theirs, a family friend, drove in. And the woman got out and like, at this time, you don't visit us, so what brings you here? And he was like, well, on my way coming, I met your husband who had a problem with his tie, so I helped him change it, and I took the one that got spoiled to go fix it, and I'm just bringing it. But note, before the man came in, what was going on in the woman's mind? You can think, some of you know. He's somewhere with some people. You know, how it is like. And so for me, look, because I don't want trouble, if I eat at 4 p.m., typically you shouldn't be eating when you have come home around 6, 7:30, that time. But I will eat because I don't want trouble. Otherwise, in the past, I used to have 6-pack, but now look at me. Do you see my 2-pack? That's the thing. And that's exactly what is happening to all of us. Because if you go home and you don't eat, there is trouble. So the lady, just on hearing that, after all, the husband wasn't at any place, but it was, just some unfortunate situation. She collapsed. And she was actually taken to a hospital. And it bothered her because she had actually thought about things that were not real. Do you know, don't you do the same thing? Is that not the same thing we all do? Somebody gets a call, and who called you? You get your call, and you don't want anybody. Is that not the same thing that is happening, even in Christian homes? And that is why it is important that we become emotionally intelligent. Look, you can be the best of everything, but if you are not emotionally intelligent, there is no way you can go anywhere with all the knowledge you have. Not at all. It won't happen. So tell me, what is it that comes to mind when you think about emotions? Is there anything? Can anybody just tell me? Anything that comes to mind when you think of emotions? No? Next slide. Definitely you must have gone through some emotions, right from morning. What was yours? Has anybody been angry today? And you know it is normal to be angry. Anybody who has never been angry is not normal. I hope you know that. Except that your anger should not go beyond a certain limit, because then it messes you up. So throughout the day, definitely you must have experienced some emotions. It is not always the wrong one. It is not always the negative one. Even positivity one, those emotions that are to the positive side, are also emotions. Somebody checked your bank account and you realize that your salary has been paid. Where's the person? There is somebody here, I just don't want to point to the person. You heard some good news today and you were excited. So what it means is that we all have gone through some emotions. And I'll tell you this funny thing. I'm like, look, I have, used this road sometimes, but I'm not too sure where I will park. So yesterday, to tell you the truth, I drove around. just to ensure that indeed I will get a place and I'm sure that this is the place. Do you know the emotional challenge I went through? So I have also gone through some emotions. Okay. Now, I want you to compare situations in which you react to those that you respond. So the key words we are looking at are reacting and responding. There's a difference. Do you realize that? Now, when you react, it comes with a certain energy. Now, when you respond, yes, there is energy, but that energy is controlled. So instances where people react, you notice that they usually get so agitated, and you kind of like put a lot of strain on yourself. When you respond, that's also a different one. You do it very calmly. It doesn't really change your system that much. So just ask yourself, have you reacted to something or you responded to something? Let's move the slides, please. Okay. So I'm asking again, what emotions do you experience most often and how do you express them? So we all experience emotions. Now the expression of it makes the difference. Because people usually will pick up on that. Sometimes you may even be saying sensible things, but people pick up on the gestures and how you even went about it, and that is what they report instead of the substance of whatever you said. But people react to different kinds of things. So essentially, you want to find out what are the triggers of your emotional reactions. Is it the people you meet? So you belong to the singing ministry. There are particular people in there. You meet them and then you are not yourself. You come to church. There are people you are not too good with. You see them and you are not okay. So people have their emotions being triggered by people. Others also get their emotions triggered by places. So for me, it's not everywhere I can go and sit, because I just will not feel comfortable. Sometimes it is the times and seasons we find ourselves in. So for men, when our pockets are not too good, that's when we become emotional. Correct? And when you check yourself, you will notice that maybe around, people usually will say 15th, 16th of the month. No. It is the last but 1 week of the month. So it's usually between 16th to 20-something. That is where most men are not nice at all. Do you realize that? And you would think that it is only men. Women too. Typically, any woman, or let me not just say any woman, but most women, when they are in their menses, they are just not nice. Very irritable, very insulting. They can frown, and in fact, sometimes they are frowning alone can make you fall. Ask them, and they will tell you. So if you are a man, you should know the woman you are with, so that around those times, you don't ask unnecessary questions. And that in itself will be an application of your emotional intelligence, because you know that she is not herself. So why go ask her, what food did you prepare? Just get anything and then make do with it. When she is fine, she will get what you want for you. Please, I hope you understand this. And I'm being very practical, because look, anytime there are problems in the home, trust me, you are not doing your work well. And that is not to say that there won't be quarrels, there won't be conflict. In fact, any marriage that has no conflict is like putting a tea bag in hot water. If you don't get any color being extracted, then it's no marriage. So your marriage should experience some conflict, some quarrels, but it is for the good. Because that is an opportunity for you to bond better. But when you know that she is in a certain situation that you don't have to be asking her unnecessary questions and all kinds of things, please don't do. So there are times that women have their emotions being triggered. Or sometimes the words that we use. Please, I hope you understand. And this is a serious thing. Okay. Now let's just do this quick exercise. So first of all, let me ask, do you see yourself in a positive way? If your answer is yes, fine. If it is no, fine. But then tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you see yourself? Let me just take a few samples and then, a scale of 1 to 10, how do you see yourself? 8, okay. You are not sure? 7? 7? Okay, yes, anybody can tell me. Mercy, where is Mercy? Where is Mercy? Mercy, do you have a Mercy here? Definitely there will be a Mercy here. How do you see yourself? 7. Okay, who will go for 8? Great. Who will go for 9? 9? Okay. Who will go for 2? Oh, I think that, look, you people are good. Because I was expecting to see somebody who is 9 and I would say that, look, something is not okay with you. Because that means that you are putting yourself in some corner. And life doesn't work like that. But you realize that is how we all do. So sometimes we think that, oh, for me, this thing, I can handle it. It is never like that. So let's move on. Now, are you able to handle challenges and setbacks well? Then again, we will put it 1 to 10. You want to rate yourself how well you are able to do that. Do we have a 6? 6? 7? 8? 9? Oh, because I gave you the clue. But that is the way it is. You don't put yourself to that extreme end because otherwise you are not giving room for, any flexibility. Please, I hope we understand. And whilst I'm talking about some of these things, I want to believe that you will also be picking certain things that I would not necessarily say. Because if you put yourself at that extreme end, what it means is that you will not have any room for errors and things like that. But you and I are not like that. We are never like that. Please, let's move on. So when we say emotions, what you need to understand is that they are like what? Information. For us, we would say they are data, and it helps you understand yourself and other people. Quite apart from that, it is also very helpful for you to make decisions. And then also for you to initiate an action and to protect yourself. Please, I hope you understand. So, when you are emotional, extremely emotional, that's not a time for you to take any decision. Do you realize that? Because when emotions enter through the door, reason will fly through the window. So anybody who is emotional, you don't think right. Please, I hope you understand. So for you as an individual, your makeup comprises of a number of things. So you have the energy you have. You're looking at the strength. All the things that you can see there. Okay? Please move on. But note this. Here as a church, we are individuals. Is that not it? So you can put yourself anywhere. whether a person A, B, or C. B and C are close, perhaps because they live in the same area. So they possibly even knew each other before they came to church. Or if it's your work environment or even where you live. But if you look at the difference between A and C, it's quite wide. But over time, the expectation is that the way they do their things will have some converging point, such that anytime you see somebody who belongs to this group of people, there is something very identical about them. Please, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. In fact, this is what actually works for married people. You see, people say that, it looks like they look alike. Because it's as if they have been there, and the bonding has brought them together. Sometimes if the man does this, the woman understands. Okay? They understand each other so well. And at that point in time, what we say is that they have come to that convergence. And that is the point where you get things going well for them. But typically, you have instances where getting to that convergence becomes very difficult for many people. And that is where you see a lot of struggles. Okay? So, if you have a couple who haven't gotten to convergence, that's where you see the woman is building somewhere in Malam, and the man is also building somewhere in Agbogloshi. And they haven't told each other. Please, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And this is very important. That is where the man will keep his money in his car. That is when the woman buys things, brings it home, it is under the car seat. And then when you see and you ask this, like, oh, this thing I had it long ago. Women, are you here? Please, let's move on. So when we say emotional intelligence, we are looking at your ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and others. And your ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships. So first of all, it behoves on every individual to know yourself as an individual. What are the things you don't like? The things you do not like, do you think some other person will like it? It's more like do unto others what you would want others to do to you. That's emotional intelligence. So ability to be aware of your own feelings, the sense, and then you also sense the feelings and needs of others, and you use that information in a way that leads to positive outcome. Please, I hope you understand. So for example, somebody is doing something, and the way you approach the person, would you have liked it if you were approached that way? Please, do you get it? Do you realize that if we were doing this, there will always be peace wherever we find ourselves? Please, do you realize that? So that is the challenge I'm giving to you. But let me even ask, how many of us know ourselves? Have you taken time to know yourself? How you react in certain situations? So that is what we need to do. If you haven't done that, please know yourself. So what are the dimensions of emotional intelligence? First of all, you want to perceive emotions, you want to reason with emotions, you manage emotions, and you understand emotions. Please, let's take a look at them one after the other. So when you are perceiving emotions, the very first step is to accurately perceive them. So for example, you see somebody who would have held the stomach. What interpretation do you give to it? Do you say that the person has some stomach upset or something else? How do you perceive it? That's what we are talking about. It also involves understanding non-verbal signals such as body language and facial expressions. So somebody does this. How do you understand it? And in our setting, if I did this, what does that mean? If I should do this, what does this mean? It's a non-verbal sign, but what does that mean? Oh, you are not talking. Yes? if I do this, what does this mean? Anybody understands what this means? Something small. Okay. Is that how we understand it in Ghana? But the Egyptians will say, if an Egyptian does this to you, what it means is that be patient. Please, I hope you understand. So you would say what? This is small. That's how you perceive it. And so you realize that you act on that. But to somebody else, it means something else. So how you see things, do not assume that that's how everybody else will also see things. Please, are you getting it? Great. It also what? Empathic listening that includes listening with your head and heart. And this is deep if you have to listen with your head and your heart. It's more like showing empathy, showing the person that indeed you are with him or her. So you can imagine if you were talking to somebody and the person were looking somewhere else. It's as if the person doesn't care. Do you know how hurting it can be? Please, let's move on. Talking about reasoning with emotions, it involves using emotions to promote thinking and cognitive activity. It's all about thinking, okay? So emotions help prioritize what we pay attention to and react to. And we respond emotionally to things that gather our attention. Do you understand that? Okay. So as it is now, do you realize that you are wearing a shoe? Do you realize that? Do you notice that that is where your attention is now? There are some of you who are also wearing nose mask. Has your attention shifted to your nose mask? What else? Those of you wearing watches. So at any point in time, your attention is likely to go to areas that you are interested in. I hope you understand. And that is how human beings typically behave. Please move on. Okay, so if you want to manage your emotions, it is your ability to effectively what? Ensure that at any point in time, things that are happening will not destabilize you. I hope you understand. To ensure that at any point in time, whatever things that may be happening will not destabilize you. So it calls that for you to regulate your emotions such that your response will be appropriate. Now, your own behavior can sometimes influence the mood and behavior of others. Do you realize that? So you approach somebody calmly. There is no way that person will react also in a violent way. Please, I hope you get it. If you approach somebody angrily, the person is likely to respond what? In an angry manner towards you. Please move on. If you have to understand your emotions, then what you perceive really can carry a lot of what? Meanings. And oftentimes, it would be based on the experiences that you would have had. Do you understand that? Or let me explain. So, you possibly must have been disappointed by a certain name before. What's the name? Okay, let me use my name, Emmanuel. So, the moment my name was mentioned, I'm sure you are like, oh, let me just... You see the experience that you have? You are trying to transfer that on me. Please, I am not that Emmanuel. This is a different Emmanuel. That's what I'm trying to say. That at any point in time, you want to understand your emotions so that whatever behavior you will exhibit will be appropriate. Now, if someone is expressing angry emotions, the observer must interpret the cause of their anger and what it might mean. But I always say that the interpretation you put to things should always be one that will edify you. Now the word is what? Edify. Because the society you and I find ourselves in does things to always suppress us. I hope you understand that. Look, if you want to make any move, it's like, hey, this thing, will you be able to make? I mean, things that will always bring you down. That's the society you and I live in. They will be telling you things that is more like to really demoralize you. So I have people who would describe my hair. I mean, I use this as a popular example. And how would you describe my hair? I heard gray somewhere. Oh, no. I mean, you've forgotten your colors. Is this gray? It's not gray. It's what? It's not white. That's the thing. This is silver. Because the thinking is that, if it is gray, then this is an old man. But you think I'm old? So somebody will say that, well, this is gray. But my interpretation to it is not gray, it's silver. So no matter how much you try to bring me down, it won't happen. Anybody understands French here? French. It's a Nepal embassy way. It won't happen. Please, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So that at any point in time, if anybody tells you something, how do you interpret it? Do you interpret it the way the person is saying it? Oh, there is no job in the country. I don't see it like that. Put interpretation to it that will edify you. Please, I hope you understand. Very important. And who says that this thing is not in scripture? Very soon I'll prove that to you. Let's move on. So, how do we read emotional cues? Let me just explain. Look, at any point in time when you are observing people, things that they are not comfortable with, look at their face. It is nose mask that is blocking a lot of things. But you will know, and even with nose masks, you can still pick from their forehead. If you observe people closely, you will see movements on their forehead. And that is an indication that there must be something happening. And you cannot hide it. There will always be a manifestation in how you do certain things. Please, I hope you understand. Now, if we were meeting people you are not comfortable with, that's when you begin to fidget. And the men, they are pocketing when they don't have to pocket. If they have a pen, they are putting it in their mouth. That is an indication that something is not okay. Please, I hope you understand. So, you are seeing movements on somebody's face, and that should tell you something. How are you reading those things that you are seeing? Negatively or positively? Please, let's go on. So we say that the face is actually a window to reading emotions. Okay? And if you are able to look at people's faces, or even the behaviors that they exhibit, then that helps you to improve your emotional intelligence. It also will make you develop empathy. You understand others. You improve relationships, and you recognize and better manage your own emotions. Please, I hope you understand. Let's move on. So typically, like I was saying, when somebody is angry, and I actually have these images, of white people. The reason being that you and I, we try to cover emotions a lot. We are telling lies, and you still can't tell. Do you realize that? But now I will tell you, for people who are dark in complexion, it's very difficult for you to pick it when they are telling lies. So all you do is to watch. You will see that even you yourself telling the lie, sometimes on your lip, you would see some movements on your lip. Please, I'm sure some of you must have experienced that. Okay? You are just not comfortable. In fact, if you have heard about the lie detector, okay, that's what it picks. Because whatever is happening within, okay, will not match what is happening out there. So there is some inconsistency. But for people who are fair in complexion, when they are not comfortable with something, straight away their color will change. Please, I hope you understand. Right. So when you are observing somebody and the person is angry, you can tell. Is that okay? So that if you know the person is angry, that is not the time for you to approach the person. I hope you get it. It's as simple as that. Let's move on. So if somebody is happy, again, there are movements on their faces. Next. Somebody is sad, you can tell. Somebody also is exhibiting some fear, you can tell. If the person is has a feeling of disgust, you can also tell. If the person is looking at you with contempt, that one we are able to do it very well. And in fact, that one I'll give it to the women. You know that a woman can walk and even the slippers, they will use it to insult you. Do you know how they do it? When they are wearing bathroom slippers and it's you ta 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 ta. That's an insult. I'm sure you know that. And sometimes the way they even will negotiate a curve in the room, by the chair, the sofa, you can tell that this is an insult. Please, I hope you understand that. Okay. Let's move on. Yes, this is also surprise. But this is the point that I want us now to be learning things. Okay? First of all, you want to have what we call self-awareness and self-management. Now, that falls within the remit of what? Personal competence. And then you also want to have social awareness. And then what? Relationship management. That also falls within the remit of what? Social competence. So one, there is personal competence. As in one kasa, a dear na wo ya a trese sebe wo as onipa utumi eye nneema wone kwan so. Ana so se mpo wadru nipa mu no. Dear na wo ya a dead say wonim se ne ya ni nipa enya nkitahudie. Like this morning, I was in some conference and virtual one. There is this guy who was there showing his video, and then he will get up and be stretching. And everybody is watching. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? This is somebody who lacks what? Social competence. Please, I hope you understand. I mean, church is over. You all go down there. People are talking or people are standing. And then you just go walk. Or sometimes you are there, you are eating, you are not mindful of people around, and you are just throwing things into your mouth. I mean, that is social competence. Well, if you lack that, people look at you and they are like, no, you are not being emotionally what? Intelligent. Please, I hope you understand. For those of you who say for me, I say it as it is. Yes, you say it as it is, but you want to show a lot of circumspection. Please move on. So, you want to, when it's about your personal competence, you want to ask yourself a number of questions. So, first of all, you are asking, can I accurately identify my own emotions and tendencies as they happen? You. If you are able to answer, what it means is that then you can extend it to somebody else. But if you can't answer that, don't read into other people's what? Emotions then. Because you have failed yourself. Please, I hope you understand. Okay. If it's about self-management, you are asking, can I manage my emotions and behavior to a positive outcome? And then for social competence, the one has to do with what? Social awareness, where you ask if you can accurately identify others' emotions and tendencies as you interact with them. And if it is about relationship management, can I manage the interactions I have with others constructively and to a positive outcome? Now, depending on your response, then it means that you are building up on your emotional intelligence. Please, I hope you understand. Okay. Let's move on, please. Now, interestingly, things about us at the end of the day has a bearing on our health. So when you become extremely emotional, for some people, that's the end of what they are able to do during that day. As in, they become so dejected. I mean, they become confused, and if they sit to work, they can't work. And, I mean, I am a typical example. I usually don't want to get angry, because if I get angry, I mean, for that day, no work. I can't do anything. That is how well I know myself. How about you? And sometimes you get angry to a point where you begin to have headaches. Do you realize that? So, essentially, your emotional intelligence, okay, has a lot to do with your emotional health. And we will understand a few things very soon. Let's move on. So when we say emotional health, what do we mean? Your ability to accept yourself and others. So there are people here who don't see any value in themselves. They just don't like themselves. Sometimes you can even tell by the way they walk. When it means you behave that way, what it means is that you are not seeing yourself right. And if you don't see yourself right, you don't feel good. And if you don't feel good, your confidence is so low. So you come to church and you are told, today you are looking very splendid. And you are like, oh, is that so? You don't believe yourself. Please, I hope you understand. And people who don't see themselves right, sometimes they are not able to take any initiative because they think that somebody is watching them and that what they are doing will not go well. Please, this is an opportunity for you to see yourself right. Because there is nobody who can be like you. That uniqueness that you have, nobody has it. So, if you are here and you think that, you want to be like me, please, forget it. You don't know my problems. I don't want to be like anybody here. I am unique in my own right. You are also unique in your own right. Things you can do, nobody else can do. Please, I hope you understand that. And as we feel this way, we need to inculcate that in the children who are coming. That's really my passion. Because if your child grows to be timid, it would have been your doing. Like many of us. You see the way we were treated. They shout at us, they do this thing, they've done all kinds of things to us. It is grace that has changed certain things for us. So if you know it that way, please, never do that to your child. Are you able to express and manage your emotions appropriately? So when you get angry, do you talk? Remember, I said that when people are angry, their emotions would have been heightened and they can do anything at all. So if you know that this is how you react when you are emotional, then at that point in time, just put on your shirt and walk in the area. Because if you stay, you may end up doing something that you end up regretting. Please, let's move on. So your ability to deal with the demands and challenges you meet in your work and life in general. As it is now, I mean, COVID has really exposed us. So for many people who unfortunately lost their jobs, how did they react? And that is one thing perhaps I need to emphasize. I mean, as a Christian, I have a difficulty when Christians are out of work for 3 months. They are struggling. What it means is that you have not planned well. And let's say it as it is. If 3 months you are out of work and you cannot live that comfortable life for 3 months before you begin to struggle, then you haven't planned well. And that is an indication of how emotionally unintelligent you are. I'll say it bluntly. What it means is that you need to plan your life. Because being emotionally intelligent requires that you plan. So I tell people, the moment you start work, start saving. And I always say that for me, today, if I get a letter that, oh, we don't want your services again, so that's the end of your work, I would say, well, this thing is unfortunate. But, Scripture says that we should give thanks to God in all things. Is that not how the Scripture puts it? In all things, not when I have been given so much money, but in all things. And that includes what? Getting a letter that I should go and stay at home. So what I do is to take 2 weeks rest. And then the 3rd week, I will go to town and look for Toyota Vitz for Uber. And I'll drive Uber. And somebody will say that, you will drive Uber. Am I better than those who are driving Uber? If you see yourself as better, then you are not emotionally intelligent. What it means is that you are not flexible. You are not adaptable. So when things happen, you cannot change. Please, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So one time, I went to Kwashiman. I saw a trotro, and then I jumped into it. And then, yes, as in they were taking the money. And I'm like, oh, how much? Yes, they mentioned it to me. I said, well, I will get off at a first gate. Then the moment I paid, I heard a tap. I felt it. And then I looked back and it's like, oh, sir, why? This was my student. So my student was surprised that I was in trotro. Am I better than people who sit in trotro? But I needed an answer for her. So what I said was that I'm doing research. Yeah. So if we see ourselves as better than other people, then when you are hot, you have a difficulty changing. Adaptability. That's the thing. So when things are not too okay, please adapt. You can actually move everywhere. In fact, anywhere and everywhere. Now, for all the emotions, the most difficult one, please let it roll, is what? Anger. Okay? Anger, really. So all these things are there, irritation, the stresses are there, but anger. Because anger can make you do things, and I always say, you remember G-Man? Do you all remember G-Man? And what happened? Let's move on. Okay. So why emotional health? Because it makes one generally happy and able to enjoy life. It makes you more confident. You are also comfortable with others. It's flexible and make you cope with a wide variety of feelings and situations. And this is where perhaps you may be interested. Because if you are emotionally unhealthy, then it affects the other areas of health. One being physical health. Okay? So all of a sudden, you have all kinds of what? Pimples on your face. And you are like, what is happening? And that is not the pimples that you get when you are about to have your menses for the ladies. No. And because of that, you realize that you are having some difficulty to conceive. You have done all the medical tests and whatever, and you are fine. But you still have difficulty what? Conceiving. because your emotional health is affected. Please, I hope you understand. All of a sudden, you are losing the hair around your ear. I mean, what we call achimfoyareba. Have you noticed that? And usually when it happens like that, the ladies will say they will use egg, mix it with lotus body, whatever, and then trying to look. If it is as a result of what your emotional health that is suspect, you can do whatever. You will still lose that hair. Please, I hope you understand this. It is very, very important. And sometimes when you see people out there and you pick a few things and you know that no, this is somebody who is emotionally unhealthy, then, I mean, because of perhaps what I know the consequences could be, I mean, I feel so bad about that. Our sexual life is also affected. And sometimes, how we even say it. But you, all of a sudden, I see your stomach is like this. It's like, and then the men, when the men say that to the women, I'm like, no. Have you not changed since you got married? Have you not changed? I have changed. So a woman gives birth, 1, 2. You should expect changes. If you don't see changes, what it means is that you are not taking good care of the woman. So we say things and we are forcing the women to do all kinds of things. Now they say they are doing liposuction. They go, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Some of them, they are wearing corset. You know the corset. Some of the corset, they call it body magic. Okay? And this body magic is also, you see a woman coming, a woman should walk very nicely. You see a woman coming and she's walking like a Roman soldier. Yes, because they wear the body magic and they are like this. Meanwhile, they are not military women. And it's basically because of what you would have said. So they also want to look good. Please, these things don't help us. And for the men, if your emotional health is not okay, then I was mentioning the last time, what we call 6:30. You know 6:30? You don't know 6:30? You draw a clock and then show 6:30 by your drawing and let's see. And that is what happens. So if you don't take care of your emotional health, your 6:30 you can use, do you know Albion truck? Albion truck or Bedford truck. You know their jack is very big. You can come and use Albion truck jack and it will still be 6:30. And you know, interestingly, for Christians, okay, when it is like that, then straight away, that is when you know, no, somebody must be doing this. Somebody must be doing this. Look, you are praying and then worrying God when God has to take care of very important things. Because your emotional health is not okay, you are just worrying God. Please, let's take note of that, because these are things that come up every now and then. Please, let's move on. So what is the way forward? First of all, you want to ask yourself, what do I want to become? It's an important question. Who am I now? Okay, so these are the things that you need to be asking yourself. What do you want to become? Definitely in life, we all want to be better people. Okay? So how you are now, tomorrow, next week, next month, what is it that you want really to happen in your life? And that is when you know who you are now. Then you are also asking, how can I build on my strengths while reducing my gaps? What it means is that you want to practice new behaviors. Okay? And as you practice new behaviors, seek support and feedback. Sometimes you realize that you cannot do it all by yourself. You need somebody to give you some compliment. Look, brother, I think that you are doing well. I think that this thing is good. Okay? And that in itself reinforces you to continue to do what you are doing. So it's always important. And for me, I think that, look, this should be a test for you. That from today onwards, I want to be around people who will enhance my emotional intelligence. People who really will bring changes in my life. People you are associating with, are they people who will really move you to the next level? Because like you tell me who your friend is, and I know who you are. Anybody at all who is making you feel like you are the boss, you don't belong to that person. Meet somebody who you also refer to as what? The boss, so that you are challenged upwards. Please, I hope you understand. You want to be aware of how situations impact your thoughts, your feelings and physical reactions, and how these may influence your behaviors. You also want to listen to verbal cues and observe non-verbal cues of others. So for me, anytime I encounter people, first of all, I try to understand myself. And then whatever I'm seeing, I try to understand it. And so whatever happens, it really doesn't move me. You get it? Sometimes it's difficult, beginning when you are trying to get to that level. It's difficult. Sometimes you are forced to kind of like react and that kind of thing. But me, as I stand now, things that will move me, it's a lot. And I'm not seeing it. Because if I can't stand it, I just move away. Do you realize that? Because life is short. You want to use I statements and not you statements. So typically, because we encounter people, there are so many things that are likely to happen. And so instead of saying, oh, you did this thing, say, I don't like this thing that you did. I like this thing that you did. And that simply is what? Just being assertive. Speaking your mind and ensuring that you are not hurting the other person. I statements instead of what? You. Because I could be making noise. It's fine for me. You don't like it. Don't tell me that you are making noise. It's not noise to me. So just tell me, I don't like it. Then I know that, well, for you, you don't like it. Okay? You also want to stop, take a breath, observe, pull back, you practice and proceed. So don't immediately believe all of your thoughts. Sometimes you want to challenge them. Things that come through, it's not everything that you believe, because once you believe, you act on that. But challenge some of them. This thing, if I did it this way, will it help? Will it not help? How else can I do it? Whatever responses you get, you follow, and you will always get what? Good results. You also want to do regular self-care activities. For men and women, please, let's take good care of ourselves. Let's take good care of ourselves. It is not for us to leave our hair so bushy, and then people are struggling to see us. When they ask you, say, oh, it's COVID, I don't want to go to the salon. Get your own instruments and go and barber. So you look good. Once you look good, you feel good. That hair that you put on for 3 months, and you come to church, people are sitting behind you and they can't. Please, I'm very serious, because I belong to a church. There are all kinds of problems that come by virtue of my being part of the counseling department. All kinds of things. Let's take good care of ourselves. It's so important. And like I said, get to know yourself. Do an introspection of yourself. Ask questions, okay? And then you also want to engage in emotional regulation. You do not want to resort to responses of anger or rage. Show empathy towards people. Understand how it feels like to be in certain situations. You also want to motivate yourself. And a lot of the time, how do you motivate yourself? By engaging in self-talk. Self-talk. So I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Is that not self-talk? So as you are going, you know that, well, this is it. I mean, you are going to face the day. I do not have any fear. I can do it. Other people have done it. And it helps a lot. Nobody is giving you medication for this. It's just you talking to yourself. You also want to have social skills. You want to communicate a little better, not only by words, but also with gestures. Because a lot of the times, if you were adding the gestures, your communication becomes complete than if you were just using the oral bit. And then you want to adopt the traffic light strategy. And the traffic lights will always come on as red, yellow, and green. What does the red mean? It means stop. Yellow means what? Get ready. As you are getting ready, you are thinking, how do I go about this thing? And then when the green, you move on. So do you see the image over there? One person says it is 4. The other person says it is 3. What it means is that we have different opinions. Is that not it? And are you going to argue about this? You are saying it is 3. This person is also saying it is what? 4. So let's agree to disagree agreeably. It's as simple as that. How you see it, you take it like that. How I see it, let me take it like that. Life moves on. Is that not it? And so for those of you who would want to get into the scripture, if you take a look at Colossians 3:15, this is what is there. And let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, you are called to live in peace. How can you live in peace when you are not emotionally intelligent? What it means is that you, first of all, don't understand yourself. So you will not understand what somebody else is doing. And when it is like that, you can never live in peace with other people. Now, again, doing some research, I chanced upon some interesting thing. You remember I talked about what? The personal competence, okay, and the social competence. So look up there. Social awareness, empathy, and social awareness, that is what goes into what? Personal competence. And look at the scriptures that are there. Very interesting. What it means is that the Bible takes into account emotional intelligence. Self-management, social skills will fit for what? Social competence. You take your time, read, and understand, and act upon it. Very, very important. Do not just come to hear or listen, and then that's it. If you don't apply it to your life, you are making a lot of mistakes. The things we are able to learn, we should see a manifestation of those things in our lives. So that at any point in time, you'll be happy. Is that not it? And let not anybody put you down, because that will not help you. Please move on. We are finishing. So what is the purpose of humanity? Do you see that we are different individuals who are here? There is everybody here. All of us. Represented by the animals. Okay? So different individuals in the society, even in the family, and then in the church, at the workplace. But because of that convergence thing, all of us coming together for us to have convergence. If you do not have convergence, you will notice that even in the church, you will struggle to get to a common goal. But with convergence, trust me, there is nothing that you cannot do. With convergence in the home, there is nothing that you plan and you cannot achieve. And I always say that perhaps you want to practice your emotional intelligence at home and then bring it to church. Because it is the home setting that a lot of these things happen. If you are emotionally intelligent at home, the church will thrive. So that at the end of the day, somebody who lives opposite would say that, no, I have seen something about this church member. I think that it's just a living testimony for me to join the church. But if your life is such that somebody will say that, oh, because of this person, I will not join, then you see that you have become a liability. That's not what we want. Please move on. So in ending, let me say that if your emotional abilities aren't in hand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you are not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are not going to get very far. This is what I said right from the beginning. You may have all the intelligence, but if it is without emotional intelligence, then you won't get anywhere. We need emotional intelligence because, like I said, it translates into our emotional health. If we are emotionally healthy, people see us and they see some calmness. If you are calm, you are able to grow and people can see the glory of God in your life. This is what we need. And I think that I will end it here, and definitely if you have questions, I will take it. So, do we have a couple of questions? Good. Yes. Please, let's hear you.
Thank you very much. Under emotional health, how do we deal with emotional scars and emotional wounds?
So by emotional scars, a number of things will go into emotional scars. Disappointment, frustrations, so many things. So if you have an emotional scar, what it means is that you may be hurting. And a lot of the times, like I said, if you met something that looks like the thing that triggered that emotional scar, then you remember. Okay, and one good thing that you can use is what we call catharsis. Now, catharsis is simply when you talk about an issue over and over again, and you realize that you have some relief within your system. But let me caution you that in using catharsis, make sure you are talking to trusted people. Emphasis is what? Trusted people. Because if you do not talk to trusted people, what happens is that they go to the next person and they are telling them, do you know this? Do you know that his wife has been beating him? And then that will add on to, that scarring. You want to avoid that. What I have come to realize is that catharsis is very effective. The only challenge is that it may end up making you a talkative. Please, I hope you understand. But interestingly, women are able to use catharsis a lot, unlike men, because we think that we are strong. Our ego does not allow us to tell our friends this is what is happening to us. But for women, they don't care. They pick your phone. Oh, you're not the only me, I'm a papa. And then they ask about me, and relieved. And I'll tell you one thing. That is why, if you look at it relatively, the women are living longer than the men. Because they express themselves easily. Please, this is serious. And sometimes you will think that this is not important. It is very, very important. Look, when you have to cry, because you don't want the children to see you, because you perhaps don't want anybody to see you, go to the bathroom, open the tap, and be crying. It will wash it away. When you have done that, you will feel relieved. Trust me. But if you feel you are strong, the moment something hits you, that's the end. And I always say that, look, for me, I have a place I sit to watch my TV. I want to be the one to be sitting there all through. I'm not going to go now, because if I go, somebody will come and sit there, and I don't want that to happen. I'm serious. So men, please, I hope you understand. So let's allow ourselves, open up. When things bother you, vent it out. It's more like venting. If you cannot vent out, please write it. Even it's in an exercise book, write everything. And when you finish, you burn it. You still would have what? Thing out. And you feel relieved. That is what I suggest to people, especially for people who are depressed. Maybe that will be another time's discussion. Yes, any other? I'm sure we don't have too much time, please. Let's if we have questions, let's be very fast and then.
Okay. Right. Thank you. I believe by virtue of exposure and information, one can point out that, let's say, a fellow is emotionally not sound. In that case, how do you help the person accept that fact? And how are you to go about it so that the person will not feel hurt or anyway?
So you see somebody acting in a way and you think the person is not emotionally sound and you want to help the person. A lot of the times, nobody would want to accept something like that, because, they definitely will reject it, okay? But I think that you always want to, for all of us, there are people we look up to. I'm sure in the church, you have somebody you look up to, somebody who will talk to you and you are likely to listen. If you cannot help, please approach somebody who can help in that direction. If the person is still adamant, then try and bring in perhaps somebody who comes with that expertise. First of all, it's always important that we establish a very good rapport with people, let them feel relaxed. I think that in most gatherings, it is because we are not able to keep, things in confidence. Usually confidentiality is broken. So somebody comes to speak to you about, some major problem, and the next moment, everybody knows about it. When it happens like that, it happens a lot in the church. It happens a lot. So I think that we want to be very careful. First of all, if you are able to establish very good rapport with people, trust me, they will tell you everything. I wish we could have that example. Somebody, and then you engage. A lot of these things, it comes by practicing. Okay? I can't say that I got up and then one day I see myself where it's over years of practice. And it's become part of me. So anywhere you find yourself. And for those of you in church, especially if you happen to be playing a certain role, what I call the helping profession, then you necessarily need to have that skill. The skill that enables you establish good rapport with people. People can come to you and feel like, look, they are speaking to somebody they can trust. And if you get somebody like that, you can tell the person anything at all, knowing that this thing is not going to go out there. I think that is what I'll preach to all of you. Mama ya no nye du. Obi be kana sem kire wa mesre wo. Oka kire wo manenka utrim. And for anu nkoka wo baabi because anukro ya chentrimukro. Do we understand that? Anukro. If you have a sore on your mouth, it's more painful than if you had it on your head. Okay? Just think about it. Please, do we have any more questions? Great, yes.
My question is,
no problem.
I shall the edikano ye. I say, now all can be about how the pacrono ubi a who semino, how tiasiano. So one tiasiasa na ema conflict eba. Sebi asorim. Hansem yesofo na obi eka se sofo se ana sofo na eka se na ne prakro na oti asem no se yampa se nyampa wafa asem no se sofo na se ana sofo na fo aso se and sofo so onimu hwe kra wonte ho asem na echi no ukote a na parko no enya wo ho trimka na so bo fu kakra kire se asem na ese sofo se no sofo nkan hwe ono so to misa wo se asem ese se wo se na akoye hu wantwi na wo sofo na asebe what you asem achiro na asem no why are stressed about it? Yes, sir, how do you handle such a thing?
There be a me can say who situation be mu say we are suffer adwuma me ye we ye bi now how be mu a ya na e di because the question is one cry now dey was amoko akoto nanim and most asofo aye wo no woman said there ni obi sometimes we think that just woman the omo edin pa I mean things don't break them. That's how sometimes we think. And first of all, who be here say who be nyo obi a sebe wo so one no beka enioma a eye wo ya. It's very very important. Na sebe why panyini no. Yes, panyini dua mante. Pacho what me say? Because look, if you are in that situation near waka, in fact even near waka no kra no ebedu ase ho no na asesa
ya say no
enti nka me experiment bi sesi aka say oh ye pon a ye be ko ba bi kakra obeka kire we ebe kwa kodu last person ni ho no na wa kire mpo ba bi a ye be ko nso man fa nka ho. That's communication. Ni all kano, ni oti anti, or the biba kano, or biba yibia free mu. Until you do the last person one, na assistant. So you need a big heart. And that is what I call the helping profession. And sometimes it is not easy. Sometimes, trust me, it is not easy. Into what ye en Americano. We are penini. Udua mante. Wo so a wote ha wo ye panyini. Udua mante. Mpacho what me ase. Sometimes no, na why you want to say agiramoa. Uhu ana wabu anichie no apa oba bi afa. But obeye on ho kraman a. Ubepo when ana umpo hwe. And I think that for all of us, Sanyoma say etoye. So what the nipa ho adwuma edin. Human behavior. It is and that is why I mean I've said me bibia ni hon ma abeka fa me ho ame ebetimi me there na obeka mpacho there na obi beka fa me ho sesi a enye de o de can feel free and I mean come mitison oh feel free na kana me minim say mitison but mitino eso no nioma egumu no you have no idea. So the interpretations are only better nioma so no be how. That is all. Because as long as I would are sorry any the obey bia besen about china even ye be fia kra question here we be say kra no
menya ho asem and men kan also makade as menya ho asem say
yes
now so ntia futu.
That's the thing. But your second one,
the second one is the correlation between prayer and emotional health.
Okay. So prayer is good. Trust me. I mean, sometimes even having talked about an issue, you see that kind of fulfillment, that kind of GD, and for me, I mean, I have used maybe at an opportune time, I'll tell you that what prayer can do. But the bit about it is that sometimes when we have become emotionally heightened in the physical realm, because ordinarily, who said prayer, who are in a different realm altogether. But only the physical bit, no babe frefra, and faster. Because then, to say, idea we are happening. To say, intino, say, let me just give this example. So I had a lady pastor who said, na moja tuno into your core hospital, no, and I can say, onya issues, fibroid near money idea, into yenya hysterectomy. I'm sure you all know what hysterectomy is. As in the engine womb, no, and or say no, idea way there, baby womb. Straight away. And that's the thing. We are quick to attribute things to the spiritual realm. So it's more like, I didn't know I happen in the physical realm, no? Or we're interpreting it differently. Then at a point, I say no. Because still, I am not bleeding. And when it happens like that, your faith is being challenged. And that is where you are likely, because you know the scripture, you are likely to quote scripture and challenge God. But God, you say we should ask and you will give to us. We should seek and we shall find. We should knock and you will open unto us. I am asking, you are not giving me. I am seeking and I'm not finding it. When we say Drew, now we are different. So please, as much as possible, a neoma that a work physical, a yenjano physical. Now, yambo empire say we can pray about the physical things. We will see the results physically. Please, I hope you understand. You will not pray about, say, when Sunyadie, what runs okay? Unim say oberi, na nyame nsesa no me. Nyame ma me so me nsem mtro 80 when I wenya 10. It won't happen. Bacho, what me say?
Doc Bacho, Bacho need the more. Obi a emotionally imbalanced. Empire betimi aboa sa e wo sa kwan no so. Kwan bi so ana.
Yan hwehwe de enti a e ma nipa no emotionally unbalanced no. If the person's the emotionally say on your balance no, if free bibi a physical misre, yes, empire ya de beka ho de, but the kodia no nipa no ni suban na enye. Let's address it that way. I mean, because we need because of what I do. I mean, so where they saw from Israel. Last night me catch the Nkrofo say, software pan sebi pono one phone so. Spiritual. Why na dibe guzumano? Now me kokan say, wait dear, you need to do something about it. Or can one kremu say, or frame padia ekeming beshi. Is that what he has here? They say me point actually no say no. This thing, why now dear guzo? Ain't you know? And yefe because look, Obokola, trust me, belongs to a big church. Say sebi you, e ko pie baby pa. And you no kwa na account, e be ba be count. Because we are suffering. So, mommy who di kudienti a ema nipa no all ya emotionally unbalanced no. Obi o hompo ana ne yere na eha no. Obi o ha ana ne kunu na eha no. Saa tete sem no a o go through no. Eno na nam a o twa kwan mu ka abo aben so onte ye. Yankotu ayi no ase. The problem cause that problem whatever may be happening. That's what we need to deal with. And I know that in the church, there are so many things happening. Look, so many things happening in the church. So many things. And rap, now me will program be say, and I'm maybe my example say, oh, yemfa no say, oh dia ukunu na say oboa, e was say ofre police and something on women and children. Enti yeah na maybe say, I hope that this thing you are not saying it say a bibi a one kasa na happen. That is it. But then when we have a problem, let's try as much as possible Because look, say only who can for bibi nkoyi a. Oba sorry a yehu. So for say only who can for bibi nkofi a nkoyi a. Oba yehu. Say ni obesi atena se kura no. Obi beka say ene de mehu se bibi. Me mehu. I will pick it so easily. And then sometimes for those that I can approach, I ask, is everything okay? Sometimes who be say, is everything okay? That's the opportunity for the person to talk. Because in Crawford, young Crawford money omubekasa. Omube kipu omwasem, yes, or ombeka no omudebeka akoto abontini. Intimisre, say usubai nenya, deal with it. Empire no yebe to me abo, to help, facilitate the process. But the prayer cannot uproot that. Mpamcho what me say. Ebi kura na ndamfo a oni omunan. E na omoye osa. Oh Monday, ya pon adwuma ye nkotena baabi. Hey, what na fie Saturday Sunday. Monday wa pon adwuma so ukotena baabi. Na cha say wan gasa no, I don't know. Mpamcho what me say ana. I hope say me country obi a me da say. Third question.
No, my last question is
okay.
Good confessions.
Good
confessions. So what kind of papa?
Sure.
It will be a team emotional health and
Sure.
And how often? Daily?
I mean, that's what I'll put into the American schedule of reinforcement. Oh, Akosia, why a fool? Say, Ujidi. I mean, to say what I did, I'll say. No crane, F, Yemfa growing in Anton Chain. Moon was at the NF. Oh, send any other. Ya not careful. I saw the program here, baby. I no one obese. Do you realize that? Because obia per se you can be bia. I mean, it's edifying. It boosts your ego, or self-esteem, kosoro. But we need to manage it. Say yes, debia. Oh, debia watadi. When you do that, what we call learned helplessness, SATE, it's like we may be who is an or babecon. Inti, okay, if you cry on Kakra, no, Medase, who a Chabuko. At the same, Quadaya, dear Wofia, I'll say, well, would you train Papa? Papa, oh, that I only honor, the end of year, hey, who know, yes, Abra, near show. So she Aquadanos are a bedroom baby, no Nacarano Abre. Into who Barano, as you will get on that. And then we need to win. I'm here. Oh, dear, then you see it's no more effective. So let's do it in a way such say, oh yeah, when I air cut down now and a bois and many panel fele say, I mean Udimu, what me I say. Software now SCS and this software. When we say the combination, you know. We a software with a swag. And who says he says of yes or no so you better edify no. We all need it. And she said, oh yeah, me pacho, yeah, why? Mr. Wo, yeah. Say you are down for who come for yeah. Because I want ya, who quite you remember baby so hey, Nanda Oba Madam who ana. Oh, when was that man at Chichen Yomoba? Hey, Madam who ana. Oba Papa no who ana. Until but that is what people do. Wherever Nipesiano, when we say I'm a cost or no more. But what me I say, but make sure strategy be. Obi who no can say, hey, Nadia, why a fool? That is Nadia. What me I say? What it means is that you can do better than why you know. Did you all catch it on Ukrano? And that is what I try to do to my children. I just hope that say whatever anybody tells you, I'm telling you. So mama can't say no can say, hey, when now why you fool? Me papa cry can't tell me. Do you get it? And that's the thing we need to be doing. So that nobody will take advantage of the children. But also what me I say. Good.
And what about we telling ourselves that?
Oh sure. Self-talk. Media me and say, Miss Yes, who we are not pebia, Mijina him, no my Begina compound, no my share, say, dear Michano Yana, But mom say me commander can say me ocean because it's straight message. And I'm sure you know why me say me commander. Look, beme bia wo pese wunyinche e wasase so. Me srew eni die mu. Fa wa brabo, fa wo life e hye oba a wo ne netie ne nsa. I mean it. I am very serious about this. Do not be the one to control your money. I'm telling you. Don't. I'm saying this again. If you want to live long, surrender your life to the woman in your life. I'm serious about this. Try that and you will see. Enti so okasa atade a wo hye no enye kosesa mesrew wo de ebisa se bra na be yi bi ma me. Because se wanya wo be pia bontene wo de animguase na beba. Animguase na wo de beba no ye mbo wudin o. Ye beka se anti magi kunu. Ye de magi aba bebata ho. But what me say? Because that is how God created women. They are gifted with a certain thing, something bia. It's about them. And that is how come at them bia me who say ma eni diemu say abutre abutoyemu enifia. They say, look, gift no ya de amamono. You are misapplying it. Na be ma de na ho odin ye say. Nisika bi o wo betumi age. I'm telling you. It's just that you don't know how to do it. You just don't know how to do it. Intermediate, misika biya minya biya, yeah, commander, enuni o. Ame di amano. Ma ye free. Intermediate ti wano meni jemi hu bruta. Me ndada o. Me be me say, hey, me ba me be ye program. O si, oh sir. Okay, me bompa ya ma why? Me ntumi nya ba. Me wie sa me nko afie kura no a onim sa me wo program ase what me ase ma Thomas mudue but say onimu a wa hu say ma me oba no ka say o ma ogbonyo face a nyame ehira emma me pa mo cho sa anhira no mumma ebi ensom emma no so wo kwan a mo ni omo enya nkitahudie Pamcho matimi ase ana. Enti eno na America no. O de opa try na hwe. Na obehu difference no. Obi behu no aka say ana so for ni age or okay sa na ti ana nya no kre o. Because if I were telling you my age you will not believe it. You won't believe it. Anyway, it's you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Please, I'm trying to look at dealing with unintelligent or emotional unintelligent with people. I'm looking at it from the angle of age, maturity, boss, superior, the subordinate. Sometimes it can be very difficult dealing with people in terms of human relations. For example, maybe you are younger in age, but see yourselves stable emotionally. And then you are dealing with an older person whom you see is not there when it comes to emotions. So, for example, today you can be working with this person, you are all happy, but the slightest thing, everything goes bad within a short time. Then, after a while, the person becomes okay. And sometimes you are wondering, you don't know how to relate, whether to go all out or go 50-50. Because you are being trying to be cautious. Because this person you are dealing with, when it comes to emotions, the slightest thing, you the subordinate, or probably the younger one, you are able to take your cool, get over it, but you see, and you expect, sometimes there's an expectation that, oh, I just thought you could have been a little bit more about this, but you are not seeing it. How do you go about it in terms of boss, subordinate, age-wise, in the home? How do you deal with such people without disrespecting them, without without contempt. Yeah.
Okay, so good. I think that we are a people who really try to concentrate on age too much to our disadvantage. I mean, age usually is fulfilling forms. Do you get it? And because I mean, when you say age, I always will ask, which one are you talking about? I mean, there are about 5 types of age. I'm sure you know. So, what you just talking about, I'm sure is the number. Okay, so, I mean, we would say that is a chronological age. As in, I mean, when you are putting a number to it. Then there is the social age. Okay, which is how somebody is able to more like conduct his or herself when he is among people. So, wait a minute, Obi wa try there or class 1. But try there or class 1. Okay. So, Nyamin Shrao, because in Kwadano, I only omudele no. How many years? How long have you been doing that? 4 years. Okay. So from about 5th year aircon, you will begin to see marked changes. One kasa say people would like to come around you because as a park grow, that is what the one share jumanimu ye. What I say, and it's something we call transference. A bedroom baby no now one kasa so no ampe Bobby. Oh, and yama uye nyinano to say I think you are referring more to a social age rather than somebody who is elderly, sir. Because obi wa hono ma sebi o wedi 40 years. And so say no ye ne niam na to say 20-year-old. But what me say? Obi so wa wedi 20 years. And so say no ye ne niam no as if so obi a, you know, and it is all because of what? Exposure awenya, experiences awenya. And no na shape yen. What I say, ebi akwada otena ahimfie or kasa obu bear. Because on impanyimfo net na e. But what I say. But to say an American right from the beginning, how well do you know yourself? Such that only nipa no interact, wouldn't him send you no so ya or yen niema. Into wouldn't him say bibi ne besi say no baby behavior. So also who other also. Do you get it? So understand yourself. Understand people you are dealing with and relate to them on that basis, and you will be fine. Please, I hope you understand this. Because like I'm saying, if the woman is in a certain period, now because of that, ninti ebufuo ban tentem. Na se also say, unti asiye intino when na se ebufuo no on sa time no na also kwako udi bi kokanwa. Then you are not helping. We are there and ibubefu. What me I say? Inti let's understand ourselves like I said. Na yenti omo so aye ni omo relate. And bibia be ye kama. Trust me. Oh, you have it. So let's
please, how do you help someone who is in denial? And you are seeing that that particular situation is making the person not emotionally healthy.
I get it.
How do you help?
I get it. So, denial is good, but it should be for a certain period. First of all, people will deny a particular thing. You can say, "Bibi nesiye, sebi owo, something." Then ipano on jintum, good. On jitumu preko penoa, and when you are bono. But I say, but there were stages. And the very first point, a denial. But after some time, it was a onino ono ankasa ne ho ekon ni onimu dada ene ni abano sa na tie until a point obe accept say indeed this thing is what is happening. But depending on the situation, there is a gap. If after 3 months nipa no ntumi bibi ntumu a then a problem. And that one you need help. But what I say. So if somebody is in denial for a certain period of time, usually after 3 months, and you do not see any change, that person would need help. And for some of these things, no, it is a physical conditions. Say, help no amba. When you beba on hoso no na afi akoda ni bibi foforo. Afi ohun se nipa boa omo ho kura o se ye come in one sem. Krofo no mpese omo be kumi o. On pese omo ye na wa ba be ye paranoid. Na che say didimu a be hu na wa yi ni shirt. Didimu a na wa yi ni trousers. Na afi de be bi e kono ano e nyan. But when we say yen so ye bo modern say yen try say ye be initiate some of these things. Yes, you be a dini fi asem. Nti so obi wo how mu anaso wo we. Na we kura me dey fine. Me pa mo cho any condition na obi go through bia no. Emwa wo ho a ye betumi di aboa. Even if say talk therapy no anya adwuma, there are medications I be control sa nioma no. Ama nipa no wetumi a contribute to meaningfully to society. Nti say ofo say apa ho more than 3 months there. But you may share kwan bi a betumi afa so aboa nipa.
Doc, please, my question has to do with balancing your personal emotions and the emotions of others. For example, if you are seen to be the go-to person for everybody, like obi wa problem about share, how do you balance dealing with that and dealing with your own emotions? Do you also confide in another person, or you like harbor them inside and then try to find a solution?
It's easy. It is a when you may ubia beba, and that's what I do. I mean, all kinds of issues, and sometimes udana when you about because what kai obi dear, and sometimes it really is not an easy thing. And that is why it was a unya break. Time for yourself. Me ade am pepper, me in fact ejuma mbef you. No. I don't do that. The reason being that ejuma me you no anya careful. Look, me japa die nyina mpo papers ni books. Me ni hwe papers ni books. And also cry me busu afu hu cry mpo no mo bu afu. O je say crofo pe we no. Nti me call adwuma mu a papers ni books. Me be fie so I may papers ni books ana. No. Until we need to know how you be handle your time. Many of us, you need mre ma ye ho. Bamcho what me ase ana. Ke ma me no sa wig cap no okoko share no wa hye no be say 6 months e da so hye no. Say say aso de no na ba mo hye. Ke me call round I met me to two crofo there. Mo share short, mo share long. Obi odu fi are not in insashe who say no why at all. Let's have time for ourselves and take breaks. Nti say we adwuma na opportunity wo ho no mo say e wo say we take a break bia. E wo say we take it. And I think that's awful. Edu mre bia e wo say wo so no we take a break now kokoshe baby. And nothing to do with what? Sorry, Ejuma. No. Because we don't do that, debia unama. Now why are stressed? Me pamocho. Say we are stressed bebre a eti won kwaso. Yeah. So take a break for yourself. Identify bibi a wo so no e ma we nije. Now why me ade a me pepam say me hwe documentary. Me share Hanomu stations crab because my head fed up. Nti nitie CNN and Trump will say minim. What may I say? That's what gives me some satisfaction. What may I say? And just sitting and admiring nature. Because a jumano a dorsal into a woman take a break. Now one casasono reorient yourself. When you're new energy. Because can you imagine, say, wow, who provided help, Ama will be. Now one kasa ni yebe hunu, he say, no, one kasa umu yamwa. But what I say, that hopefully say, was say, who sees you who come now, or the nanti, yes, who ye be, no, yeah. Say obey ya watch you pony. May I sure say oh cockra car no. Fubi ubenante kwan ho. Ubekwa kudu na when nije. Let's see the lighter side in our lives. Rather than debia na ya me say obi wo hono mo nama. Utumi say we this serious ama. Onam dua se kra na dua mframa na bona leaves na ya odu on ejai. Because you are too serious in life. Life is not like that. Yes, I agree. There is pressure. Pressure, but that pressure should not change us. Such, even our personal lives. To me, we are not able to take care of our personal lives. No, it shouldn't happen. Just say, what my pressure I'm look, Crawford be break juma. Ukaso omu omu shirt now show omu singlet. Omu done singlet no. Muna me catch because only mre now take care mu no didi because only time. Minimobia autistia nimwa tetekwashi. Ne hu ya ne se car no agina. Ordinity to steer no so wa collapse because stress. Miss Remo says, I shall near my son, yes, he corner. Ye contemu. Weekend in me chrome a year 30. Yes. A wunda hono, yes, and for 17. And if you check the age range, somebody should do, collect that data. 50, 53, 51. Because you're higher, you're higher home. What done for cheap Benz into who person cheap Benz? We are worrying ourselves. And I don't know if I want to go on this thing. If you give me the chance, we'll sleep here. And I don't want that. All I'm saying is that, Ms. Remo, Mummy, I'm planning a life. Why? Mummy, I'm planning a life. Now, we should take good care of ourselves. Uko krom na utompa buanda, Ms. Roshe. Washano, Sisano, Nashe. Yes. Because you know what? Se uni honuma. Who cause problem among crop for only problem crop. Omo babe kun. Enyanto kwa wechi why? Inti uto wadia she. And your man so I want who will be our own share for 1 year. Miss Rao, you don't need it. Fache. Yeah. Somebody needs it. So give it out if you don't have any use for it. Yeah, mama no money mano. Mwen load mu wardrobe mu bia just a musansus ejina say na mu pia. Intimidate barrier, what I would say is that let us all try to be emotionally intelligent. And trust me, if you are able to do that, you will plan your life in all aspects. People get to see you and they know, say no, there is something about this person. And look, what is more interesting is the fact that you are a Christian. But you say you can't be a Christian. Mama your life, no, and you're living testimonies so that people can look up to us and say that asume sinti mesume rade. Amen. Come on.
Amen. Thank you, sir.